A great show for you today. A lot of topics. The first one we're going to talk about is Elon Musk's platform X is having some controversy over asking users for biometric data and giving them, or allowing rather, a company from Israel to do the verification checking, which is very interesting. We got a lot of stuff, and I want you guys to pay close attention when I roll this out, because I have a series of tweets to show you that Elon seems like he's being a little bit disingenuous with his confusion over, we're not taking your home address. We're just asking for your ID with the address on it. So we're going to talk about that stuff. Second thing we're going to talk about is Trump raised over $200 million, and he's getting $100 million from Megadonor, Miriam Adelson. Some people like Charlie Kirk are pumped and saying, yeah, $100 million to Trump. Others are saying, well, what do they want for that $100 million? Will that make Trump a puppet? We're going to talk about that. Thirdly, is the first female has been elected to the president of Mexico, and I believe it's also the first Jewish president of Mexico. We're also going to talk about that story. They're a little more far left down there. Let's get into it. I don't want to give away too much. Dreamer Podcast starts now. Give me a thumbs up in the chat and in the algorithm, or rather on the video on whatever social platform you're on for the algorithm. Dreamer Podcast starts now.
It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Yeah.
What's going on, Marla, Kelly, Rusty, Sean? He said it's over for Mexico. I mean, it's already an interesting place. Let's see. Kelly, a different Kelly. Mighty Llama. We don't want normal llamas here. Mighty ones are fine. Phaedra, James. All right. Appreciate you guys. And Rumble, as always, I can't see you, but I know you're there somewhere. I'll get into the first story because I have a few that I want to get through in a lot of slides. So I want you to, if you're watching, I guess if you're listening, you can't watch, but pay close attention because I want to go slide by slide to tell you what's going on. I'll give you a brief intro beforehand. There's a company, I believe their name is like Auto10Tix or Autentix. I don't know how exactly to say it, but we'll look at it in a second. Elon Musk said, in order to make money or be verified on X, I want to say Twitter. Sorry about that. I'm just going to say Twitter, but I always get confused. But Twitter or X, you have to give your biometric data. You have to upload your license, I believe, maybe take a selfie so they could scan your face, etc. And why some people are concerned is because that company comes out of Israel. That's where its databases are. And a lot of people on Twitter have been critics of the war in Israel and Palestine, and they feel like it's not a good idea to give our biometric data to a foreign country. And some probably don't care. They say, whatever, just give it to whoever takes it. You know, it doesn't matter that it's in Israel. What's the difference? One person that raised his concerns is Jake Shields. He's an MMA fighter. He's a former UFC Strikeforce fighter. And Jake said, listen, I've been getting threats daily or weekly from IDF members. They wrote his name on a bomb. He's like, I don't want to give my biometric data and my home address to a foreign military that has literally been threatening me every week. Why would I want to do that? So I'll just walk you through the controversy real quick, and then we could talk about it, and I'll read some of your comments to see what you guys think. I'll tell you what I think and whether I'm going to give my biometric data to X after all of this at the end, but let's get into it. All right, so Jake Shields, MMA fighter, he tweeted, next month, X is going to make me give my ID to an Israeli company connected to their intelligence agencies. My ID has my home address on it. I get weekly death threats to me and my family from Israel, and IDF members even write my name on bombs. You can see right there, there's a bomb. It says Jake Shields with love, Hayam Ghazali. I don't know. Maybe that's the name of the military member or something. But Jake's like, I don't want to give my biometric data to an Israeli company. They're threatening me all the time. So I'll show you his follow-up real quick, and then I'll show you Elon Musk's tweet because it gets interesting. I just got to wait for the slide to pass. Okay. He said, hey, Elon Musk, some of us with verified accounts have been publicly threatened by the IDF. Do you think it's a good idea to hand over our government IDs and home address? And Elon said, why would we have your home address? In which he got community noted, which is a fact check. And it says, generally, ID documents in the United States include the person's home address. So Elon's acting like he doesn't know that they're getting your home address. He's like, why would we have your home address? I don't understand what you're talking about, Jake. Here's the weird part, because I looked it up myself. This is actually from my account. It says, I agree to give X an Authentics, that's the name of the Israeli company, using images of my ID and my selfie, including extracted biometric data. And you can see right there, I have the red underline. It says X may store your full name, address, and hashes of your document ID number. So Elon's like, why would we have your address? And you can see right there, in order to get paid now, starting July, you have to click the button that says that X can literally keep your home address for as long as they want. So here's the weird part. Before we even get into what I think about the Israeli company that's going to get it, Elon's pretending like he's completely clueless. That's a red flag for me. I know Elon probably isn't in the know of everything that happens at every company. He's a busy guy. But Jake's like, listen, I don't want to give my, there's been a lot of threads on X. I don't know which ones are true. And I was busy this weekend, so I didn't like read them all. But a lot of people are saying, everybody knows this. Most people in Israel, you have to serve in the military. So most of the people there, are obviously connected to the IDF. You can't like live there if you're not. And then people are saying that they did a deep dive and that, sorry, my lip is a little pasty, but you have to, in order to in order to live there, yeah, I mean, everybody's connected to the IDF, but they were saying that they did a deep dive on the actual company and saying that it had ties to Israeli intelligence. And all I'm going to say is, before I get into what I think, why would Elon be acting like he doesn't know about the home address? It's a little weird. I saw that Authentics, they also have big clients, I believe Airbnb. I saw Google, PayPal. So chances are people might have already given this company their data on another website. I don't know what you've done on Google, Airbnb, or PayPal. I'm not sure if people gave them their biometric data or not, or if they have it. So I'm not saying that's like a reason to use it on X, but I did look that up. So I was like, Google, PayPal, chances are a lot of people have already signed up. Here's my opinion. I just said this like 3 times, so I don't know, I'm repeating it, but I don't like the fact that Elon acted like he didn't know that X was storing your home address. Like, acting oblivious, major red flag, because it's like, yeah, we're not doing anything with your home address. Everybody has your stuff or whatever. It's like, okay. But he's like, why would we have that? It's like, you're asking for everyone's ID, and then you're making me click a box or a button that says that in order to get paid, I need to let you store my ID and let a foreign company or a company that's based out of Israel that we're funding to the tune of tens or hundreds of billions of dollars that, I'm just going to be honest, like with Ukraine and Israel, I understand they're at war. I understand that it's tough times there now, but I feel like they're very, I don't know the word, like they're very pushy. And if you don't completely agree with like Ukraine or Israel, like the countries kind of go crazy on you because they're fighting a war right now. So I understand for their own survival why they might be like that. But like America, we're funding, like our country's falling apart. We're funding everybody in the world. Our border's wide open. Like, not everybody cares that much about every other country. Like, we're focused on us, just like you're focused on you. So that's why, in my view, I would rather an American company have the data. And with that being said, I don't think I think I'll lose probably tens of thousands. I don't know. I've been, just to be transparent, like the last couple of months, I think every 14 days they've given me like $800, $900. So it's like, if it kept picking up, it could be like $20,000, $30,000 a year that I could make on X out of nowhere. That wasn't even a thing 3 months ago. And I'm not going to click the button. I mean, I don't like the fact that the CEO of X is pretending like he doesn't know they're storing your home address. I don't think it's a smart idea to use a foreign company to use that, especially when, I don't think I've had the same experience as Jake. He's way more outspoken about the war and he focuses on it more. But American citizens are being threatened by a foreign military. American citizens are constantly being called anti-Semitic. American citizens are constantly being slandered in domestic and foreign press, and having their characters smeared. And it's totally understandable that you wouldn't want them to have all your stuff. I just don't like the fact that Elon's kind of lying and being sneaky about it. And also, I would rather just kind of just set a precedent to be like, listen, you already have a lot of my info. I think, like, in order to use the website, you need my ID, you need my biometric data, I don't know. I'm not really about all that. So I think it would be interesting rather, if enough people didn't do it, and maybe he'll change it. He seems like very responsive, more than Mark Zuckerberg or some of these other social media platforms. So maybe Elon Musk will actually listen to people if they don't, they don't budge on that topic. I'll talk about it a little bit more at the end as well and read some comments, but I do want to muscle through this stuff real quick because I got like 8 slides and I don't want to get confused. All right, so here's Trump. It says, holy schlit, and wokeness said, Trump raised $200 million since his convention Thursday. And yeah, Trump has raised hundreds of millions of dollars. There he is with his never surrender. What is that, a shirt or a sweatshirt? I don't know. I haven't been really paying attention, but he's just absolutely crushing it off of the arrest. They're just throwing money at him. Sorry. But anyway, one of the people that's giving him money, I don't know if this is in the 200 million or if this is just a side note and he's going to get 300 million. Maybe this is in the 200 million. I'm not really sure, but hold on one second. This is a Republican megadonor, Adelson. Miriam Adelson is backing pro-Trump spending group, according to Reuters, and that's Trump giving her a presidential medal of freedom because, her husband and the family has donated like $400+ million to the Republican Party. So I guess if you donate that much, they give you medals and stuff. Makes sense. I mean, 400 million for a medal, that's not bad. Charlie Kirk is thrilled. He's like, Miriam Adelson making $100 million pledge to support Trump after his show trial conviction. God bless Miriam. So Charlie, donor sucking Charlie. Charlie loves donor money. Charlie loves donor money and, speaking gigs and stuff. But, I'm pretty sure Turning Point USA, they definitely take a lot of donor money in order to stay afloat. I believe they're a nonprofit. So they're completely fueled by I said boner money. It's a donor boner, folks. He's like, oh my gosh, $100 million. Yeah, donor money. Hey, make a donors. Woo, Charlie Kirk. Yeah, donor boy. Yeah. All right. Yeah, but I guess if you're a casual Trump fan or a Trump fan, you're like, yeah, the more people who give Donald Trump money, the better. Like, don't you want him to have a lot of money to beat up Joe Biden at the primaries and he'll beat the victory and then make America great? Yeah, it's like, yeah. But when you kind of study this stuff and you see who the donors are and what they want, there's always a transaction. Pfizer's not giving money to the Republican Party because Pfizer loves you. Pfizer wants something in return. So does Bank of America. So does all of the big pharma lobby. So does everybody. There's always a transaction. I mean, very few people, like average people, are like, yeah, make America great again. But a big donor over a couple $100,000, probably $1 million plus, like you want something in return. So let me just give you a little walkthrough about Sheldon Adelson has passed. And I just want to say this because I try to be respectful. I'm not trying to be rude or anything. I've heard great things about him as a businessman. He owns Sands Casino. A lot of people say he was nice to his employees, etc. I mean, I don't really know. I've never had an experience with him. I've never worked for him, but I'm not saying anything bad about him. And I think especially when somebody's deceased, like it's not like I'm just trying to like shit on this guy or anything. So I just want to be like super respectful. But the reason I'm talking about it is he's a mega donor, and he's probably the most influential person, rather, in the Republican Party mind frame that people don't even know exists because he's kind of behind the scenes. So here's what Trump said before he got elected. He said that Sheldon Adelson was going to donate to Marco Rubio and turn Marco Rubio into a perfect puppet. Let's look. Trump tweeted out, this is 2015, classic Trump. He said, Sheldon Adelson is looking to give big dollars to Rubio because he feels he can mold him into his perfect little puppet. I agree. So Trump's like, yeah, the donors are going to, turn Rubio into a puppet. I'm not taking his money. Well, he did take the money. This is in 2021. Sheldon Adelson gave Trump and Republicans over $424 million since 2016. That's almost $500 million they dumped into the Republican Party. Wonder what they wanted. Do they really love conservative politics? Maybe. I mean, we'll get into it in a second, but that's a lot of money to dump into a Republican Party. When I talk about Pfizer, people try to say, anomaly, Pfizer only gave Trump $1 million. Like, how is that going to influence them? It's like, I'm not going to talk about Pfizer because this video is not about that, but is $424 million enough for you guys to consider that? Let's look at this real quick. I showed it yesterday, but it's relevant now. So one of the last things that Trump did was he pardoned a foreign spy, Jonathan Pollard, and Jonathan Pollard flew back to Israel. How did he fly back to Israel? Well, on Sheldon Adelson's jet. Isn't that interesting? Donate $424 million to the Republican Party, get a foreign spy bailed out of jail, essentially, and get Trump to send him back to Israel on a jet from his big donor. Okay, just pointing that out. I mean, it's relevant. Speaking of relevant, I've seen this video of Sheldon when he was around and his wife, Miriam Adelson. Once again, I'm sure they're great people. I'm sure we'd get along and we'd be friends. I'm just doing news analysis and journalism. And I want to show people this video of him saying, I'm an American. I served in the US military. And I believe he uses the word unfortunately. And then he says, of course, my kids are going to serve in the IDF, excuse me. And I want them to be snipers in the IDF. I think that's what's said. If I messed up, let's correct the record right now and play the actual video in full.
I am not Israeli. The uniform that I wore in the military, unfortunately, was not an Israeli uniform. It was an American uniform, although my wife was in the IDF. And one of my daughters was in the IDF, and my two little boys, one of whom will be bar mitzvah tomorrow. Hopefully he'll come back. Thank you. Hopefully he'll come back. His hobby is shooting, and he'll come back and be a sniper for the IDF.
So he said, I unfortunately served in the U.S. military, right? Gave $400 million to Donald Trump. Donald Trump moves the embassy to Jerusalem. Donald Trump pardons a foreign spy. If you want to know what Jonathan Pollard did to the U.S. and the results of that, I mean, you could probably look that up pretty much anywhere. And I don't know. I mean, this is just dots people don't connect. Like, they're just like, oh, I think I debated somebody like a couple weeks ago. Her name was Conservative Mama. Really nice lady. Really respectful. I enjoyed the debate. I enjoyed the conversation. Rather, I don't know if I mean, it was a debate, but at the end of the day, like, she was super nice and super thoughtful. So I had no problem with it. But she said at one point, because I said, there's Megadonors paying Trump hundreds of millions of dollars in order to like drive certain policy for a foreign country. And then she's like, oh, are you saying like that anti-Semitic conspiracy theory where like, Jewish people are doing? And it's like, what, you just called it a conspiracy theory? Maybe she didn't call it anti-Semitic. I think she called it a conspiracy. I was like, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's just like the reality. If Pfizer donates tens of millions of dollars to something and then they get something in return, it's not like a huge crazy theory. It's like they're paying to play just like everyone in this world. You don't even have to dislike it, but like to call it a conspiracy theory is just goofy. And with Sheldon Adelson, it's like it's pretty obvious what's going on. And I would guess, I mean, and now he's passed, so it's his wife Miriam donating $100 million. So while Charlie Kirk, when he cheers and says, yay, that's awesome, Charlie's not stupid, because Charlie has probably sucked up a lot of donor money in his life. His forehead's probably so big because he sucks up all the donor money, and then instead of like going to his stomach like some people, probably all the weight goes right to his forehead. So that's why Charlie's forehead's so big, because he sucks up so much donor money. I'm just kidding. That's kind of rude, but at the same time, it's just like I'm tired of these like phonies. Listen, if you want to suck up a bunch of donor money, suck up a bunch of donor money, make a bunch of money, scam a bunch of boomers. You know what I'm saying? Be controlled opposition, be half-assed and half in, half out, and make your living. But like, to just constantly act like they're so surprised and shocked by everything that they're a part of, it's like Charlie Kirk knows when someone like that gives $100 million to Trump. Yeah, I mean, it might help them win the election, but also there's probably something that they're getting in return. And I highly doubt that it's going to be for America. I mean, it could be. Is she donating $100 million to make sure that Trump builds the wall on day one? Maybe. Is she donating a lot of money so the anti-Semitism IHRA laws stay everywhere? The things that people are calling hate speech laws that have been passed in hundreds of places all around the world, everywhere in the world. Just Google IHRA laws. It's like a global communist, like, basically like anti-speech law for one race, one religion, mysteriously. And then you get called anti-Semitic when you notice that it's pay to play and donors are paying people to do it. And then it's like a foreign spy gets pardoned and Trump gives an award to Fauci. And I'm not saying that's her, but I'm just saying it's like, everyone's like, why did his term? It's like, because just like everyone else, like, why did Obama do what he did? It's like he's a puppet. I don't know. Obama's a puppet, and he does what people want him to do, and then he like talks, and sometimes he does something, but for the most part, Romney's a puppet, Obama's a puppet, McCain's a puppet, Bush was a puppet. They're all like puppets, and Trump, once you get $400-500 million from mega donors, like your cabinet's going to suck, or you're going to get people in the cabinet that they want. So then once again, it's like all I want to do is try to figure out like what do they want? Since they're giving $400 million to an American politician, what do they want? And then I see videos like this where would someone that loves America more than a foreign country say, unfortunately, I served in the American military and I'm happy my kids or my grandkids are going to serve a foreign military? Like, it's not really. I'm going to play that clip one more time, then we'll move on. But I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be mean. It is what it is. Like, politics is, like if you want to get excited over this election and throw your money at Trump and buy like a never surrender t-shirt, go ahead. I don't really care. But if you want to learn who are the major players in the Republican Party that drive your policy that you've never even heard of, that are giving more money in some cases than George Soros gives to election to the Republican Party, and you're like, well, why did Trump pass hate speech laws for a foreign country? Why did Trump pardon a foreign spy? It's like, and send him home on on the jet of his donor. Like, that's one of the craziest stories. Imagine if Joe Biden, I mean, he's done a lot of crazy shit, but like, imagine if Joe Biden took the $300 million from China and then like pardoned a Chinese spy and sent him home on his donor's jet. Everyone in the Republican Party would be freaking out. But when Trump does it with a different country, it's crickets because donor suckers like Charlie Kirk, he loves donor money. So it's like, he doesn't see this as a problem. He's like, no, that's what we do. We suck up donor money and then we just be controlled opposition. It's fun, isn't it? And then everyone's like, yeah, but he's such a cool guy. It's like, he's actually not cool at all. He's not really a good public speaker. He yells, his energy sucks. He's not likable. But I guess he's good at raising money and yelling, on Steve Bannon Room Report or whatever. So boomers like it. I don't know. It's not, whatever that is, it's not really for me, but to each their own. I'm gonna play that clip again. This is a rest in peace and God bless Sheldon Adelson, Megadonor of the GOP, whose wife just gave $100 million to Trump, saying, unfortunately, I served in the American military, but don't worry, my offspring is going to serve Israel.
I am not Israeli. The uniform that I wore in the military, unfortunately, was not an Israeli uniform. It was an American uniform, although my wife was in the IDF. And one of my daughters was in the IDF, and my two little boys, one of whom will be bar mitzvah tomorrow. Hopefully he'll come back. Thank you. Hopefully he'll come back. His hobby is shooting, and he'll come back and be a sniper for the IDF.
Is what it is, but yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. We'll see if Trump is able to get stuff done the second term if he wins. Before I move on to the next topic, I did a whole breakdown with Clint Russell. I think it went pretty well about like Trump and the whole arrest and whether it was like, like super not planned or if it's just theater. I don't know what it is. I mean, I can't really tell you, but I do think it's wild when he raises so much money and then out of nowhere, mega donors are throwing their money in. We'll see what happens. But my analysis based on my research is that most of the big donors like Miriam Adelson, they dump money into both sides, Biden and Trump, but a lot of money into Trump because they want Trump to be more pro-Israel and do more things for Israel. So I think that Trump will probably win the election because as much as he acts like he's anti-establishment, the real establishment players that people have never heard of are on Trump's side. You know what I'm saying? Like CNN might not like him, but they might actually like him because he gives them ratings, like I don't know what they like or what they want, but like liberal students don't like him and some like liberals hate him, like The View hates Donald Trump or maybe they don't. I don't know. Maybe they just pretend to hate Donald Trump because that's all like, if they don't talk about Donald Trump, then like their ratings go down. I'm not, this is what I'll say before I move on. I always wonder this because as I've told you guys, with me, I run my own company. It's only me. And, I could lose money. I could gain money. I could save money. I could, have bad months. There's no one else that really depends on my money right now. So I could use that to my advantage and have more integrity. I mean, I would do it anyway, but it's just like, I don't have, on my conscious, like weighing that, like, oh my gosh, like if I don't get a lot of views right now, I have to fire like this girl or this guy that I really like that works for me. I don't have that. But a lot of these news companies, like they see the numbers. Like I see the numbers too. Like I don't announce it and I don't really talk about it, but I've done like 10 times as good as I'm doing now financially, maybe not numbers wise. And then I've done worse. And it's like it fluctuates. Some months it's like 3 times as high. Sometimes it's 3 times as less. I'm just at the point now where like I'm not chasing money and I don't really care, because I know like when I want to make big moves, I can. And I'm trying to enjoy my life, move at a different speed, and not get lost in the sauce. Because when I have, and of course you got to work, everybody has to work and do something, but it's like social media, it just doesn't feel the same as it felt to me in like 2000, even like, I mean, 2000's a stretch. I meant like 2020, but still 2008, same thing. During the lockdowns, I felt like, yeah, we got to make these videos because then we got to get out of our houses, this and that. It's not saying that times are not important now, but I've been on the internet like everybody for 20, 30 years now. So now, like, my favorite thing is to not be on the internet. When I'm off Twitter, I make money on Twitter now. When I'm off Twitter and enjoy my weekend, and then I log back into Twitter, it's like, who, I don't want to be here. It's like a club. You're like in a virtual reality club, and it's like, what do I want to sit here for 3 hours? No, I'd rather like not be on my phone. So I'm hitting a different pace this year. It's probably not business wise good, but I think mentally healthy and physically healthy. I've been getting stronger and I feel good. And that's important to me, because if I want to do this for the next 10, 20 years, I can't burn myself out. But what I was trying to say, I got on a little tangent. Like The View, say they talk about Donald Trump, right? And they're like, Trump sucks really bad. And it's like, oh man, Trump sucks for sure, or whatever. Yeah, Whoopi Goldberg, Voice of Reason, Joy Behar, totally normal, whatever. I don't know who watches that show, but God bless those people. Like, bless them extra hard, because they need it. Say they talk about something else the next day, and it's like liberal or whatever, and nobody cares. Maybe then they just talk about Trump 20 times because they're looking at the numbers coming in. They're like, Whoopi, and these people, I'm not going to say Whoopi Goldberg for sure, but these Hollywood people are soulless. They've always done it, what they needed to do for a check. They're acting, they're doing this, they're doing that. They're all phonies. But anyway, it's like, talk about Trump 30 times in a row. So I even question with them, like, if you saw Whoopi Goldberg off camera drinking a few beers, like, does she really hate Trump? Or is it like, I know that this is what, so I can't tell you what game other people are playing, because I'm not playing the game, but I do wonder like who really hates him. I know there are people who really hate him. And I think the judge like probably doesn't like him, that did all that stuff. And like, but also it's a political tactic. It's like, we'll raise money off it. We'll do this. He'll raise money off it. Let me know what you think in the comment section. He's made an absolute cash cow. He's got some of the establishment's biggest donors behind him. I think he'll probably win the election personally, but we could talk about it at the end once I finish. Real quick, I wanted to show you this because Mexico has a new president. I believe her name is Claudia Sheinbaum. I'm going to look at it right here. This is the Calvin Coolidge Project. I follow them on Twitter. They just seem to post headlines and stuff. It says, breaking, Claudia Sheinbaum has officially won the 2024 Mexico presidential election. She is the country's first female president. She is the country's first Jewish president. She is a far left socialist. Few things to unpack there. The country's first female president. Why now? No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, I don't know. It's like, now, 2024, you guys are ready for the women to run the world? Who runs the world? Girls. That's a Beyonce song for all you losers out there that don't listen to Beyonce, right? Don't you want to hear her country music or whatever the dude Dolly Parton covers for the 10,000th time? Like, that song hasn't been covered enough. But anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, she's the first female president of Mexico. She's the first Jewish president of Mexico, and she's a far left socialist. One thing I find interesting is in America, a lot of people, and I understand that, people are trying to be optimistic and be like, these Hispanics are based, and it's like, I'm part Puerto Rican, so I'm Hispanic when I need to be. I could kind of float, if it's good to be Hispanic, I'm like, for sure I'm Hispanic. And then if I'm not, I'm like, yeah, what's that about? No, I'm just joking. But yeah, I'm part Puerto Rican, but I'm not like that Hispanic, but enough where people say I look like it sometimes. I tan well. But anyway, I understand that there's millions of awesome Mexicans and Hispanics that are based and conservative and whatever. And I'm sure there's some cool liberal ones too that you just disagree with on policy or whatever. But, Mexico is, I guess, far left. It's been far left for a while. That's in their culture. I always find it interesting because, a lot of people in America will be like, they love their families. True. They love God. True. They have kind of like a more conservative mindset, which is also kind of true, but it's just interesting that they vote for left-wing socialists I don't know. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Or maybe the politicians aren't left wing. They're just like, people see socialism in America and they just like assume that everything's left wing because they see it through the lens of American politics, but there's always a different racial, cultural, and societal dynamic to every country that sometimes we can't fathom because we're trying to like see it through our establishment, but it's not like that. So I remember this headline and I found it because I was like, when Zelensky won in Ukraine, I saw this one time and I wanted to bring it back up. Just the Claudia thing reminded me of this. This is Times of Israel in 2019. It says Zelensky's win makes Ukraine first country outside of Israel with a Jewish prime minister or president. Marvel's one columnist, imagine a pure-blooded Jew with the appearance of Shalom Aleichem protagonist wins by a landslide in a country that glorifies Nazi criminals. So that was a headline of Times of Israel. They're like, Zelensky is the first Jewish prime minister president outside of Israel. I did not know that. That's really interesting. So no country has ever elected a Jewish president or prime minister. Is that real? I feel like someone had to have, but according to them, Zelensky was the first one. How did he do? And I'm not saying like that should, it's like if you're in a country and that's like the first president, it sucks. That doesn't mean that's necessarily always the case, but it is interesting where it's like, they're like, he's that first one. It's like, all right, well, he started a war pretty quickly. You know what I'm saying? It's like not the best representation. It's like if, you move to like an all black neighborhood and you're white, or you move to an all white neighborhood and you're black and you're the mayor and you don't do that great. And it's like, yeah, I was going to say there's got to be another Jewish prime minister or president. I can't imagine that that's the first one. I don't know why. Maybe they were talking about certain countries or certain area. But anyway, they're like, look. And it's like, oh, well, there's a war. And with Zelensky, I have a lot of videos about it when it came out. But Zelensky was on a television show. I don't know if people remember at this point, the war's been going so long. Now they just see him as a TV star in America for different reasons. But Zelensky was on a show where he was the normal guy who turned into the president and fought corruption. And the guy who bankrolled, I believe, the television station that it was on was named Kolomoisky, who's banned, I believe, from America now. He might have got banned from Ukraine. I'm not really sure. Like he had some bank scandal in England. But he was building some of the largest Jewish facilities in the world. I remember looking that up in the Atlantic in 2019 or 2020, saying that Kolomoisky, who is the big backer behind Zelensky, was like building these massive Jewish, I don't know if they were synagogues or facilities, but it's like, that's who backed Zelensky, made him into a TV star in Ukraine, got him elected. And he's like, look, I'm the first one. And everyone's like, cool. And then it's like, all right, let's go to war. Or let me get it right. Putin started the war and Ukraine never did anything wrong. And Lindsey Graham is straight. We'll just go with that. But anyway, let's see what Claudia Scheinbaum does. I mean, maybe she'll crush, maybe not. One thing that I find very interesting, and I noticed this, like I'm a good pattern recognizer. It's a good and bad thing, if you know what I mean. Sometimes you get praised for it. Sometimes you get called hateful for being a pattern recognizer. But one thing that I noticed was Vivek Crenshaw, Dan Crenshaw, Vivek Ramaswamy, Donald Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene, every Republican. And you don't really see Vivek Ramaswamy and Dan Crenshaw and Donald Trump and MGT like agree on everything. I mean, Vivek agrees with everybody because that's who he is. He says everything you want to hear. So it's like, oh, wow. Well, look, he said everything I think. It's like, yeah, that's totally organic and authentic. And he totally doesn't sound like a car salesman who's just talking and learning things. Like, yeah, it's like vibe check. Now everybody's like, he should be the vice president. It's like, if you have no intuition or discernment whatsoever, sure. But if you have that, then no. Anyway, they all, Crenshaw, Vivek, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's very like anti-establishment, Donald Trump, they all say, when we get into power, we're going to declare war on the cartels and declare them as terrorists. And they're even suggesting that they're going to go into Mexico and fight the cartels. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't think that's a good idea. I'll tell you why. When cartels come across America, why don't you just enforce the law when they get to the United States of America? It's like, you got people coming on boats, you got millions of people coming across the border. Just secure the border, act like we're at war, secure the people are washing up on boats in San Diego. I saw a Newport Beach the other week, just washing up in a boat and then running off the boat. It's just like do that. You don't need to invade Mexico in order to stop all that stuff. You just have to give a shit about America. Like, would another country just let like a bunch of boats wash up on shore? Would countries at war do that? Are they just like, hey, let's just forget about, protecting our waters and just act like we don't know what's going on? So in my view, I don't think the cartels should be doing stuff in America, obviously, but to go to Mexico and act like we could fix Mexico is what we've done. And I don't believe that that's even what we're really doing, because we say that we're going to do that in Iraq or Afghanistan. It's like certain cultures and societies are never going to be America. You can't Americanize America, just like you can't turn America into another country. Like there's distinct culture and there's distinct people and religion and thought process and policy and liberty based stuff. And some people don't like it and some people don't. Some people vote for it, some people won't. But every time American goes to a country and Americanizes it, it doesn't really work out. In Libya, we tried to do that, but really they just wanted to kill Gaddafi because he was actually anti-establishment. And they did that. And then a slave trade happened and a power vacuum. So, Mexico's messed up. Everybody knows that. People who live in Mexico know that. But what are you going to do? You're going to fix Mexico? I don't think so. So, some of the cartels are completely reckless. Some of the cartels are basically mind their own business if you don't talk about them, and they run the cities. You know what I'm saying? Like the cartels have so much power in Mexico that some would argue that they have more power than the government. Most people think that they have more power than the government. They probably do have more power than the government. So, there are somewhat safe areas of Mexico. And I think a lot of the big cartels keep them safe, because if a smaller cartel and like a crazier cartel ran it, it wouldn't be as safe. So all I'm going to say is if America invades Mexico, I think it's going to be terrible for America. I think it's going to create a power vacuum. I think it's going to create more refugees and probably a bigger border crisis. But I just find it interesting that everyone's saying it. You never see Dan Crenshaw and Marjorie Taylor Greene agree on foreign policy, maybe over Israel sometimes, but pretty much never. And Vivek is like anti-established. Like Vivek is like, so he's just like whoever you want him to be. He's always that guy. And then even he's talking about it. So my guess is they have a plan to do this already. Like they're going to do what they want to do in the American government. And I just find it interesting that there's now a new president. So I don't know, but is that president, is she like a puppet of America? Is she not? Is she completely, Mexico first? I don't really know. I'm not going to say I don't care, but I don't have an ego about my thought process because I try to speak the truth and I try to be honest. And if I don't completely know something, there's nothing wrong with just speculating and talking about it. But we'll see how it plays out. But when it came to Ukraine, they wanted a puppet in Ukraine. In order to do what they wanted to do with Ukraine and Russia, they needed a puppet. Zelensky was a puppet. There you go. The revolution of 2014, the Maidan revolution or the revolution of dignity or whatever it's called in Ukraine, that was, some people think it was a coup. And then it's like now this, and then America makes this move. You understand what I'm saying? Get rid of the leader, switch the leader, get the leader elected, get them in there somehow, and then make your move. So you're not going to hear what I just said on any other show because I don't think that many people, and I'm not bragging, but I don't think that many other people really pay attention. Like I'm like, oh, they're all talking about fighting cartels and labeling them terrorists like it's the Middle East, which is crazy. And Vivek says it, Marjorie Taylor Greene says it, and Dan Crenshaw says it. No one else is even seeing this stuff and noticing these patterns. They're just like, it's like, sure, yeah, vote for Trump. That makes sense, obviously. But then pay attention because it's gonna get weird either way. It's gonna obviously be weird if Joe Biden wins. Everything's gonna be really weird. And if Trump wins, they're both also really old. Trump's almost 80. It's going to be, and everyone's saying now with Trump, they're like, I hope he picks a vice president who's like really like him, because if he doesn't pick a vice president like him, one heartbeat away from being president is the vice president. So people are saying strategically, he can't pick somebody establishment, because if he picks someone establishment, the establishment can be like, well, look who's really close to being there. That's what people are saying. I think Trump's going to pick someone establishment. I think he's completely controlled by the donors. I think they're going to get in Elise Stefanik or Marco Rubio or someone. Maybe not Marco Rubio. I've said Elise Stefanik for years. Tim Scott is like Mike Pence, but different skin color and talks slower. Actually, same speed. Mike Pence talks slow too. But we'll we'll see what happens, but that's my take on it. I don't really know what's going to happen, but the deep state is plotting. Let's just put it that way. And I don't consider the deep state like just the left or anything. It's like the deep state's the right too. Sometimes Trump's the deep state, sometimes he's not. He's like a magician, you know. But if him and Dan Crenshaw are saying the same thing about foreign policy, it's deep state, in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think about any of the stories. Sorry, I wanted to backtrack. And also, I had like my lips always get chapped out here. And I don't know, I was struggling at the beginning, but it's okay. It's a very human show. Did I see the Chris Cuomo, Dave Smith thing? Nah, I'm like, I watch UFC and stuff. I'm not into like the political clown show. I mean, I'll watch clips, but I don't know. I don't care. I get it. Chris Cuomo's a liar. Dave Smith's kind of cool. But I'm sure it was, you know, sold a lot of tickets and stuff or whatever. Anomaly wait, let me see. So the 3 stories real quick, because I didn't get people's reaction. The first one was about Elon Musk. Let me know if you guys are on X. What do you think of that biometric data? They're taking your data. Elon Musk is saying like, well, why would we have your home address? It's like, look at the box I have to check. I have to upload my ID and it says you can keep my home address. So why would Elon lie about that? And then also, do you think it should be an American company, or do you think that it's fine that it's an Israeli company? And if you think it's fine that it's an Israeli company, like whatever, it's not a big deal. They're our allies. What do you think about this? Because here's what I'll say. There's a lot of people that are huge critics of Ukraine and Israel. If you're a huge critic of Israel, you don't want to give your biometric data to that country. If you're a huge critic of Ukraine, would you want to give your home address and your biometric data to Zelensky at a wartime? Of course not. So, you know, I would say I'm not a huge critic of either war, but I would guess that, you know, I don't think I'm like a top 100 person because I don't really talk about Ukraine and the Israel war in depth like a lot of people. But I would guess Ukraine doesn't like me because I'm not like Ukraine, Slava Ukraine. I'm like, yeah, like we're giving too much money to Zelensky. So if it came down to it, I'm sure Ukraine doesn't like me. So yeah, I don't really want them to have my biometric data. It's a little much. And I'm a journalist in America. I'm a news analyst. I'm a hip hop artist, a citizen of America. Okay. I'm not trying to have my stuff sent off to like foreign countries, although it's probably already there. And then when it comes to Israel, I don't really talk about the war that much, but I've been called anti-Semitic 30,000 times by people. So I would assume that some people there probably like me, but a lot of people probably don't. And, you know, I know that the media probably doesn't necessarily, because anybody that speaks the truth or says anything even remotely honest, they'll just call you an anti-Semite. It's not just the stupid college kids that they call anti-Semitic or Hamas. It's like they'll call anybody that says like, oh, look, a donor paid hundreds of millions of dollars to get policy for Israel. Oh, that's anti-Semitic. Yeah, but it's also true. It's literally true. But you can call it that, but it's true. Oh, Anomaly said that Zionist donors pay off Trump. That was the big one. They're like, oh, he said they do. That's literally what happens. I don't know what to tell you. Like, should I word it a different way? Like, Zionist donors give hundreds of millions of dollars to the GOP to get pro-Israel policy. It's the truth. Am I yelling about it? Am I screaming? Am I crying? No, I'm just talking about it as an American citizen. But America doesn't really have a sovereign country anymore. So it is what it is. But regardless of what you think of Ukraine or Israel or Palestine or Russia, at a time of war, yeah, I don't want to give my biometric data off. I mean, they probably already have it to some extent. You know, it's not that hard to get probably nowadays. But for, you know, integrity reasons, I will not give I'm not going to click that button. First of all, I'll start with X. If X is going to take my home address and say they want to save it for as long as I'm in their policy, okay. But then if the CEO of the company, Elon Musk, is going to act dumb about it, like just be like, yeah, every company has your stuff. Every company has all your information. It's not just us. I would respect that. I'd be like, okay, yeah, like PayPal, like everybody has your shit. Everybody needs your shit all the time. They just need all your private information so they could lose it and you know, someone else could steal it from them or whatever. But if the CEO is going to sit there and be like, oh, why do you think we have your home address? And then I look at the box I have to click and it says, we're going to stack your all your stuff. Now that's another reason I don't trust it. But yeah, you know, for integrity reasons, I'm not giving my biometric data willingly, if it's not already there, to a foreign country that constantly slanders everybody's anti-Semitism, that doesn't want to just dump hundreds of millions of dollars of our money. And, if you care about your country more than their country, they say it's hate speech. So, and not everyone does that, but in general, I'm not going to click that box. And, at the rate I'm going now, it's probably going to cost me 20 to 30 grand. That's 20 to 30 grand that I'll lose if I don't click that box. I'm not clicking the box. And that's the thing. This is how my life is all the time. I lose money anytime you do something honorable, you lose money. That's why Charlie Kirk's like, yay, the big donors are giving money to Trump, because he's a donor sucker. He's like, oh, donor money. These people are not dumb. That's just what they do. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how you get there. But I'm not playing that game. That's not, to me, that's not enticing. You know what I'm saying? Would it be nice to have a couple million in the bank account more? Sure. But it's not, but at what cost? There's a lot of things you could do for money. Do you want to do anything? Are you that desperate? Are you a whore? Are you a prostitute, like a political prostitute? You'll do anything for money? What do I got to do? It's like, what type of life is that? There's a lot of jobs like that, but most people know that that's not the right play. Someone said Hotep Jesus was throwing shade. Didn't know there was an issue there. Throwing shade at who? Me or someone else? What did he say? Someone said you have morals. Not many people have that. I mean, I try. I definitely have certain lines that I don't want to go past. What would I do for a Klondike bar? Nothing. Read the ingredients and throw it in the trash if they're whack. What did he say? I'm gonna peep it real quick. All right. Someone's saying someone's talking. Can't even work in peace on a Monday. Unbelievable. Let's see. I don't know. You'll have to tell me. Someone said they're tying all police state tactics to everyone's ability to live. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. I saw when I was like taking a break that like Alex Jones, something happened to a studio, like they were going to shut it down. Thank you. Someone said this boomer loves you. Thank you. We love boomers here. But yeah, I saw like Alex Jones, like, oh, he's going to shut his studio down. And then I saw this video of him like crying. And listen, I got like, I like Harrison. I like Owen. I like Alex. He's like crying. It looked like kind of like acting to me. I'm not saying they're not really going for Alex Jones. They probably are. But when someone cries on camera and just breaks down into tears and it looks like acting to me, I'm just going to say it looked a little odd. What did I think of the Diddy Cassie video? I never watched it. I heard that he hit her, right? He hit her. That's not good. So, but I didn't watch it, to be honest. I just let it pass right through my feed. I was like, nah, I'm good on that. Let me see. Someone said Anomaly loves MILFs. All right. Calm down there Sunday morning. It's not that type of show, okay? I'm going to stay until under an hour. He said on his Friday stream, he called you a grifter that changes on a whim if it suits you. It was about a tweet you made about now wanting to vote for Trump because of the verdict. I mean, maybe he just wants attention or something, because I get him more views than a show gets. But no, I didn't say I was going to vote for Trump because of the verdict. So Jake Shields tweeted out, he goes, I don't even like Trump, but this makes me want to vote for Trump because of the verdict, right? And then I said, yeah, I had that same thought. I was like, I wonder if they're purposely doing this to make people lead to Trump. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I heard the verdict as well, it gives you the emotional of like, yo, this is too much. Like, now I want to vote, now I want to vote for him. But what I'm saying is like, it gave me that feeling of like annoying me to the point where I'm like, I'm not inspired. Like a week ago, I'm not inspired to show up at all. Like, I'm not going to vote. I just don't care anymore. Personally, you can. That's just how I feel. But then when that came out, it's not like I'm voting and giving them all my money, But like, you just get this different energy where you're like, all right, maybe I'll show up to the ballot box and just, send a message. But I'm not like knee deep buying 50,000 Trump shirts, like floating with the wind, with the wind. I'm saying I'm like analyzing it. Like, Jake Shields felt that way. I felt that way. Millions of people felt that way. Donors feel that way. So then I make a video and I talk about it. I'm not like, oh, I'm changing with the wind. I'm just noticing that a lot of people want to throw their money at Donald Trump and vote for him harder now. So then I speculate on it. That's all I said. So, he's I don't know what he likes to like play devil's advocate and like play all these games and stuff, but it's whatever. Someone said Diddy did more than that. Hit her, he whooped her ass. Very disturbing stuff. Yeah, I didn't watch it, but okay, it's bad. I mean, I don't know if this is messed up, but it's like with the Epstein and Diddy stuff. I mean, it's not messed up. I'm just gonna tell you how I feel. Like, Epstein was that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, not like that guy, he's so cool. I'm saying like Epstein was the guy to get. He like disappeared or died or whatever, and then they're like, oh, the cameras didn't work, and it's like no one cared. At this point, like, there's only so much I could care about. Like, everyone, like hundreds of millions of people have seen Diddy beat the shit out of this chick, the singer. Do I need to watch it? What is me watching it going to do? And I'm not saying like I don't. It is what it is, but it's like they just let Epstein off the hook. Ghislaine Maxwell, nobody's getting charged. Like, she's sitting in jail, not saying anything, or nobody's saying anything. Trump doesn't care. Biden doesn't care. No one cares. RFK's on the list or whatever of like flying on the plane or whatever. They all mysteriously have the same foreign policy. So who is Diddy? Like, what is his connection? Who is he? Everyone's speculating right now. They're starting to connect dots, but to me, I see it as the same thing as Epstein, where I'm not saying he was Epstein, but that's what people are saying and thinking. But it's like, what's the point of me caring? Like, I can't do anything about it. So it's like, are they going to actually do anything? They raided his house. Like, for what? What are they going to do? What was his role? Was he just, a big player? Was he doing weirdo stuff? Like, what, like, to what extent did he go? Was he like grooming people for politics? Like, or not? Was he just wilding out? And like, everybody knows he was rich and powerful and he played some sort of role and he's in some sort of trouble. But to me, it just doesn't seem like he's in that much trouble. So I'll watch the video, but it's like, I'll watch him beat the shit out of someone and be like, that sucks. And then it's like, and now what? It's just like, I don't know. Someone said, I didn't watch it either. I didn't watch it either. Just don't listen to their music and support that energy. What are my thoughts about all the military-aged men being dispersed all throughout the country? Are you talking about like illegals, or are you talking about like normal military guys? I mean, there's a lot of games being played right now. They're definitely screwing America up in like 100 different ways. So what do I think about it? I think it's not ideal what they're doing. Someone said, and many of you are in on it. Oh, and many of you are in it. I don't know what you're saying. And many of you are in it. A psyop, and a psyop, and a psyop. There's a lot of that for sure. Something about the Diddy, like, anytime everyone talks about something, I'm just like, do they want people to talk about it? Like, I'm not saying Diddy never did anything. Like, clearly people seem to think that. But it's like, is he just the fall guy? Like, are they just going to be like, yeah, it's Diddy? You know what I'm saying? For whatever, like, he pissed off the wrong person or whatever, or got caught. And then it's like, oh yeah, he's the only one. Get the shit out of my hair, excuse me. But and then there's like, yeah, it, like Epstein, it's like, well, it's just Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, that's all. And it's like, that's all? Would they just work by themselves and they never did anything with anyone else? That's it. The Epstein just died or whatever, and then Ghislaine's really getting it in jail. And and Diddy is all that happened in rap. And it's like, maybe. Probably not, though. There's probably like someone he was working for, or some, he's probably Diddy was probably connected to somebody like else that's more important, that isn't gonna take the heat that he's gonna get. I don't know. Someone said lots of Diddy's out there. I mean, I think with this type of stuff, like, all you have to see is what happened with Epstein and how they didn't care. Once that happens, everybody's going to speculate. Everyone's going to have their opinions. Everybody's going to falsely accuse some people, where it's like, oh, there's a lot of Diddy. Sure, there's probably not one. But it's like, then people are going to be like, is it that person? It's that person. It's that person. And they'll just start throwing it all over the place. And I'm not even saying it's people's fault. It's just like, that's what happens when the biggest kingpin of something gets caught and nothing happens. Like if you can catch the biggest kingpin and nothing happens, then nothing's going to happen. Like if they don't do anything, they didn't do anything with Epstein, then they're probably not going to do anything with Diddy. That's just my opinion, because like, to me, it doesn't get bigger than Epstein. Like Epstein was whatever industry he was in, or what, like people think blackmailing and, trafficking and like trapping people and getting them to do stuff. Like he was it. He was like probably the Michael Jordan of whatever that is. And nothing happened. So I don't know. There's only so much that I'm going to like, not say focus on it, but I would love to hear more and see more, because I know what other people know. Like I know what's publicly available, but there's probably files somewhere that are redacted that like they probably know way more. Like whoever's hiding the information knows really what happened. All anyone could do is just speculate and like connect the dots as good as. And there's some people like on YouTube and probably Rumble that are really good at it. Like they've made documentaries on it. Those are the people to watch about that have really put in the time to like really connect the dots. Like, did I watch the Diddy videos with Bieber when he was young? I've seen all the Diddy, like not all the videos, but like I've seen like him with like Conor McGregor, him with Usher, him with like Bieber. I've seen those. The energy is weird for sure. But here's the thing, like if this never happened, I'm sure nobody would have even thought about that. But once you like realize something's going on and you like go back and you backtrack, and it's like, yeah, that a lot of the interactions were kind of weird. Like he's an interesting character. For sure. Did I know that I'm a citizen of a federal corporation called the United States? I've heard people say that, but I don't know. I don't know what to believe about that. Someone said Puff Daddy sus. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Someone said hella gay. Boo-hoo to the millionaire deviants. when Cat Williams called him a big D deviant, that shit was hilarious. And he's like going off about Diddy. Dude, that interview was really funny. The interesting part too, I'll say this before I leave. They always say people are crazy, where it's like with Cat Williams, before I really listened to him talk this year, they always used to tell me like not like they like the media, but like not like people, but like you just hear these stories like Cat Williams got arrested, Cat Williams on a motorcycle, Cat Williams slapped somebody. Like maybe he is crazy. I don't know. It's a possibility that he is actually crazy, but the message I got was like Cat Williams went crazy. And then you listen to Cat Williams speak and you're like, oh, he's the realest one. Yeah, he might be a little crazy, but he's like the realest one in whatever that is. And then they did the same thing with Prince. They used to say Prince was crazy. Prince lost his mind. Prince wants to be a symbol. He changed his name because he lost copyright, I think, on his name. So that's why he changed his name. And like Michael Jackson. So it's like, I'm not saying everyone, like Prince was like noticeably weird. People liked how weird he was. That kind of made him unique. But all the people, they always say like, oh, they lost their mind. It's like, did Prince lose his mind? Probably not. Prince was really smart. Did Michael Jackson lose his mind? At the end, he might have, just from all the stress and stuff. But it's like, I don't know. Everybody that they always say, like, if I never heard Cat Williams talk about Diddy and all that stuff, I would have just thought he was like funny. I always liked Cat Williams, so I don't know that I completely bought into it. Like in the recent years, I started watching certain clips and I was like, oh, Cat Williams is awesome. Like if you've never seen Cat Williams on CNN, watch. First of all, 2 things to watch if you want to have a good 30 minutes today. Find the video of Cat Williams. There's a Mexican heckler in Arizona or something. I can't remember, but there's he was like, yo, this is Mexico. And Cat Williams is like, this is America. This is America. He's like, if you want to go back to Mexico, get back. And Cat Williams roasted him for 10 minutes on some like pro-America shit. And I was like, dang, that was base. That was like your conservative uncle just talking shit. It's hilarious. So anyway, Cat Williams roasted this Mexican guy in the crowd that was yelling. And then he got called racist. So then he went on CNN and they were trying to call him racist. If you watch the clip first and then watch the interview, it's one of the greatest interviews, one of my favorite interviews, one of the best interviews recently. He just destroys CNN. And I think it was Don Lemon or one of those dummies. Incredible. So I always liked Cat Williams once I saw that, because he handled CNN. He's like, I'm not a racist. And, but like he didn't back down at all. How do I start a successful YouTube channel? Ask me next time. I want to keep this under an hour. I appreciate you guys. But yeah, check out those Cat Williams videos. And they called him crazy for like 6 years until he had the biggest podcast this year. All right. Thank you, folks. I'll be back and I'll have some good videos later this week. This is my one for today, the topics that interested me. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I will make some good ones soon. I promise. Thank you. Hey, what's going on, my friends? Just a few ways to stay in touch and support if you'd like to. The first way is dreamrare.com.